Welcome to our video, where we start with a story of inspiring dedication and compassion. Meet Armando Salazar, a devoted nurse whose tireless work at San Angel Hospital in Guadalajara is fueled by his deep love for his family and his commitment to becoming a doctor. His life seems to be on track, balancing long hours at work with his studies, all while caring for his ailing daughter Victoria. His passion and sacrifice make for a hopeful journey, filled with moments of genuine connection and support from his wife Estela. However, this tale takes a dramatic turn when Armando faces a heartbreaking decision. As he struggles with the demands of his job and the escalating medical costs for Victoria's treatment, a moment of crisis arrives when he encounters a desperate elderly woman, Dona Luz, in need of urgent care. Despite the hospital's rigid policies, Armando steps up to help, showcasing his unwavering commitment to compassion over protocol. But this act of kindness comes at a steep price. Armando's decision to aid Dona Luz results in his unjust dismissal, leaving him to navigate the emotional and financial fallout of losing his job. The story transitions from moments of hopeful dedication to a somber reality, highlighting the personal sacrifices made for the sake of helping others. Join us as we explore the highs and lows of Armando's journey, from his initial dedication and hopeful aspirations to the poignant challenges he faces in the wake of his brave actions. If you are not subscribed, I recommend you subscribe and activate the bell so you don't miss any videos. Armando Salazar's life had unraveled in a way that seemed almost surreal. His world had come crashing down when he was unjustly dismissed from his position at San Angel Hospital, a place where he had poured his heart and soul into his work. The catalyst for this devastating turn of events was his compassionate act of assisting a humble elderly woman, dressed in worn-out clothes, whose plight had touched his heart deeply. The unjust termination of his employment felt like a cruel blow, but the depth of his misfortune took an even darker turn when, merely 5 days later, he received a call that precipitated a sudden and paralyzing affliction. The final hours of that day were marked by a profound weariness that seemed to seep into every corner of Armando's being. As he concluded his shift at San Angel Hospital, nestled in the bustling heart of Guadalajara, his gaze lingered over the final reports with a mix of exhaustion and melancholy. The weight of his fatigue was almost palpable, bearing down on him like an invisible shroud. Armando, with his unassuming stature, chestnut brown hair, and eyes that seemed to carry the depth of countless struggles, was a man whose demeanor suggested he was carrying an enormous burden. As he prepared to leave, his thoughts drifted inevitably to his cherished family Estela, his loving wife who dedicated her days to teaching at a local primary school, and their beloved 5-year-old daughter, Valeria. Tomorrow will bring a new day, Armando whispered to himself, his voice barely audible as he changed clothes in the dimly lit locker room. His colleagues' voices echoed around him, filled with lively anticipation for the evening ahead. One of them, with a mischievous twinkle in his eye, asked, "Heading out to any parties tonight?" With a tired but resolute smile, Armando replied, "No, my friends. My celebration tonight will be a quiet one, surrounded by medical textbooks and helping Valeria with her homework." His life was a delicate balancing act, caught between the demands of his nursing career and his aspirations of becoming a doctor. The nights were long and taxing, consumed by a relentless cycle of studying and caring for his daughter. Meanwhile, Estela faced her grueling schedule, managing double shifts as a teacher while also running their household. Armando did his utmost to support her, trying to share the load while relentlessly pursuing his academic goals. As he walked through the dimly lit hospital parking lot, Armando's thoughts were a mix of reflection and resolve. He came from a background of modest means, where each achievement was a testament to his unyielding perseverance and dedication. Securing a position at San Angel Hospital, renowned for its excellence, had been a significant milestone in his life, representing both a personal triumph and a beacon of hope. His father's encouraging words, a constant source of motivation, echoed in his mind, "Armando, you are destined for greatness. Never let doubt cloud your path." Sliding into the driver's seat of his aging but steadfast car, Armando dialed his wife's number with a sense of both urgency and tenderness. "Hi, love. I'm on my way home. Do you need me to pick up anything?" he asked, his voice laced with fatigue. On the other end of the line, Estella's soothing, affectionate voice provided a semblance of comfort. "No, dear, just come home safely," she replied, her concern evident even through the phone. As Armando arrived home, his exhaustion was clear, yet a faint, weary smile tugged at his lips. Estella greeted him with a warm good evening, her presence a source of solace as she stood in the kitchen, preparing a simple yet comforting meal. "How was your day, my love?" she inquired, her radiant smile conveying a warmth that seemed to momentarily lift the weight of his burdens. Armando wrapped his arms around her, feeling a mixture of relief and affection. "I'm just glad to be home," he replied softly. Starting at San Angel was something I had looked forward to with great anticipation. The extra income is crucial, especially with the ongoing costs of Victoria's treatment. Their little girl, Victoria, faced a rare and challenging illness, and every bit of their earnings went toward her expensive care. "I know you're doing everything within your power," Estella said, her gaze filled with understanding and love. "But you seem troubled. How are things at the hospital?" Her concern was palpable, and Armando felt a surge of frustration as he recounted the challenges he faced with his boss, Dr. Sandoval, whose unjust actions had only compounded his struggles. Armando Salazar was at his breaking point. His frustrations boiled over as he confided in Estella, his voice laced with the weight of his struggles. "He's demanding, and no matter how hard I try, it seems like nothing I do is ever enough." Armando vented, his shoulders sagging under the burden of his discontent. As she served dinner, Estella's calm, reassuring presence offered a glimmer of hope. "But remember, you're studying to become a doctor for a reason," she gently reminded him. "You want to do more for Victoria and all the patients who need you." Her words were a balm to his weary soul. "Yes, that's true," Armando agreed, gratitude evident in his eyes as he took her hand in his. "Every day I spend at the hospital, I learn something new. That knowledge fuels my determination to push forward with my studies." After their modest meal, as Estella busied herself tidying up the kitchen, Armando made his way to Victoria's room. The sight of his daughter peacefully slumbering, her tiny form barely disturbed by her illness, struck him with a profound sense of resolve. "I will do everything in my power to give you a better life, my little one," he vowed silently, his heart swelling with a fierce, unshakable determination. In that tender moment, as exhaustion melted away, a renewed sense of purpose took its place. Armando was acutely aware that the journey ahead would be fraught with challenges, but the sight of Victoria's serene face made every sacrifice seem worth it. As dawn broke the following morning, Armando awoke before the sun, ready to face another demanding day. His morning began with a crucial task: escorting Victoria to a routine medical checkup. The serene morning sky belied the turmoil brewing in his mind. Arriving at the pediatric hospital, he clutched Victoria's tiny hand, his anxiety masked by a brave facade. The checkup proceeded as expected until the doctor delivered unexpected news that struck like a bolt of lightning. "Victoria's treatment needs to be intensified," the doctor said, his voice steady but grave. "This will require a more potent medication, which is also significantly more expensive and needs to be imported." Armando's heart plummeted at the news. The additional financial strain was overwhelming. The weight of these new expenses seemed almost unbearable. On the drive home, Armando's mind raced with thoughts of how he could cover the additional costs. Desperation gnawed at him as he considered every possible avenue to boost his income. Perhaps he could take extra shifts at the hospital, or maybe pick up odd jobs on weekends, such as gardening for neighbors. Each thought was a frantic attempt to find a solution to his mounting financial pressures. His worry was etched clearly on his face, while Victoria, blissfully unaware of the gravity of the situation, hummed a cheerful children's song from the back seat. Upon arriving home, Armando left Victoria in Estella's capable hands and rushed to San Angel Hospital. The urgency of his morning had made him lose track of time, and he arrived 5 minutes late. As he entered the hospital, he was immediately met with Dr. Sandoval's stern gaze. "Armando Salazar, you're late, doctor," Sandoval reprimanded, his tone dripping with disapproval. Armando attempted to explain. "Dr. Sandoval, I had an important medical appointment with my daughter this morning, but Dr." Sandoval's response was cold and unyielding. "Armando, you're new here. We expect punctuality. This cannot happen again." Armando nodded, his frustration and anxiety barely contained as he struggled to keep his composure. The rest of Armando's day at San Angel Hospital was a relentless whirl of activity. Despite the rough start, he devoted himself to each patient with the same meticulous care and dedication he always brought to his work. The hospital's prestigious reputation and affluent clientele only added to the palpable tension. During a brief respite, Armando sought refuge in a small staff room, craving a moment of tranquility amidst the relentless chaos of his demanding day. In that fleeting yet precious moment of reprieve, Armando's mind was engulfed by a swirling storm of worries and responsibilities. The relentless pressure of his daily life, coupled with the profound concerns for his daughter Victoria's health, weighed heavily upon him. All he yearned for was a brief respite, a tranquil pause amidst the relentless demands of his professional and personal life. However, just as he began to embrace this rare moment of peace, his solitude was shattered by an unexpected commotion that echoed through the corridors of the hospital. Driven by a mix of curiosity and apprehension, Armando rose from his temporary sanctuary in the staff room, his footsteps heavy with the burden of his thoughts. As he approached the reception area, the scene that greeted him was both heart-wrenching and chaotic. There, in stark contrast to the polished and sophisticated environment of San Angel Hospital, stood an elderly woman in tattered and filthy clothes. Her frail body trembled visibly, and her voice, though barely audible, carried a sense of desperation and pain that was impossible to ignore. The receptionist, Mariana, appeared visibly uncomfortable, her professional demeanor cracking under the strain of the situation. "Please, I need documents or your health insurance card to attend to her," Mariana insisted, her tone strained as she attempted to maintain a semblance of order. The woman, gasping for breath and on the brink of collapse, struggled to respond. "I don't have my documents." "Please help me," she pleaded, her voice reduced to a whisper of desperation. Mariana's response was curt and dismissive, her frustration evident. "I'm sorry, but this is a private hospital. You need to go to a public hospital. We can't help her here without the necessary documents." The woman's eyes, brimming with fear and anguish, turned pleadingly towards Mariana as she made one final, desperate request. "Please call Dr. Valeria Mendoza. She works here. She can help me, doctor." Valeria Mendoza, known far and wide for her exceptional medical skills and compassionate care, was a beacon of hope in the medical community. Mariana's reaction was one of clear disdain. "I can't disturb Dr. Mendoza, our most esteemed physician, for someone without the required documents or insurance. Please find a public hospital. If you don't leave, I'll have to call security." Her words were harsh, underscoring the strict policies of the hospital with an unyielding tone. The woman, her strength visibly waning, leaned against the counter, struggling to stay conscious amidst the indifference surrounding her. Watching this scene unfold, Armando felt a profound and visceral sense of indignation. The hospital's exclusivity and rigid policies seemed utterly irrelevant in the face of the woman's acute suffering. The core values of compassion and care that had always guided him seemed to be lost in the cold bureaucracy of the institution. Without a second thought, driven by a deep-seated moral imperative, Armando stepped forward with resolute determination. "Wait, I can help," he declared firmly, his voice cutting through the tension. "We'll take her to one of the exam rooms and see what's going on." Mariana's eyes widened in surprise as she mumbled something about hospital policies, but Armando was already guiding the ailing woman toward an empty exam room. The potential consequences of his defiance of hospital policy were a distant concern compared to the immediate need to provide aid. Armando, fueled by a blend of empathy and resolve, gently assisted the woman as they made their way into the exam room. The woman's condition was dire. She was barely able to keep her eyes open, her breathing shallow and labored. "Calm down. Everything will be okay," Armando murmured, his voice a soothing balm amidst her distress, as he carefully opened the door to the exam room. Once inside, as he helped her into a reclining chair, the woman, with evident effort, managed to ask, "Are you a doctor?" Armando offered a reassuring smile, despite the gravity of the situation. "I'm a nurse, but I'm working diligently to become a doctor someday. Although my tenure here has been brief, I am deeply committed to my role," he replied with a mixture of humility and pride, all the while rapidly assessing her condition. Armando noticed the woman's dangerously low blood pressure and suspected a potential heart issue. "I'm going to check your blood pressure and administer something to stabilize it," he said, his hands steady as he reached for the sphygmomanometer and stethoscope. Throughout the process, he continued to speak with her, aiming to maintain her calm and focus. "What's your name? Can you tell me why you're here? What happened to you?" The woman took a shuddering breath, her voice trembling with both physical and emotional strain. "My name is Rosalia. I came here because my health has worsened significantly and I can't go to a public hospital. I don't have the financial means and I'm at a complete loss about what to do." Armando listened intently, his empathy unwavering. "You are in good hands now," he assured her with a firm yet gentle tone. "I will ensure that you receive the care you need. I'm going to call Dr. Mendoza for an urgent consultation." As Armando prepared to reach out to Dr. Mendoza, he felt a profound sense of purpose and urgency. The weight of his earlier concerns seemed momentarily lifted by the immediate need to help Rosalia. The hospital's rigid policies and the indifferent reception from its staff were starkly contrasted by Armando's unwavering commitment to care and compassion. Armando dialed Dr. Mendoza's extension with a sense of urgency, laying out the critical details of Rosalia's condition. When Dr. Mendoza arrived at the exam room, her presence was a soothing contrast to the chaotic atmosphere. With a calm yet authoritative demeanor, she took charge of the situation. Her examination of Rosalia was thorough and meticulous, and with Armando's assistance, they made the decisive call to admit her for further evaluation. Dr. Mendoza's appreciation was evident as she addressed Armando. "Thank you for your swift intervention, Armando. Your actions today were crucial. We will ensure she receives the best possible care," she said, her tone both reassuring and appreciative. As Rosalia was carefully transferred to a hospital bed, Armando felt a profound sense of relief knowing she was in capable hands. However, beneath this relief lingered a gnawing concern about the potential consequences of his actions. San Angel Hospital's policies were strict, and he knew defying them could have serious repercussions. The thought of losing his job weighed heavily on him, but he was resolute in his conviction that the well-being of the patient was paramount. At that moment, he found solace in knowing he had done what he believed was right, despite the possible fallout. The days that followed were a whirlwind of continued challenges for Armando. He faced the ongoing pressures of his demanding job and the personal strain of his family life, all while the incident with Rosalia continued to reverberate through the hospital. Dr. Sandoval, having conducted a thorough review of the situation, summoned Armando to his office. The atmosphere was tense as Armando entered the room. The gravity of the situation was reflected in Dr. Sandoval's serious demeanor. Armando, I've reviewed the circumstances surrounding Rosalia's admission, Doctor. Sandoval began, his tone measured but stern. You breached hospital protocol by admitting a patient without the requisite documentation. His words carried the weight of institutional policy and procedure, leaving little room for leniency. Armando, though visibly nervous, stood firm in his convictions. I acted by what I felt was right. The patient's life was at risk, and I couldn't stand by and do nothing. We had the means to help, and I chose to do so, he explained, his voice steady despite the mounting tension. Doctor. Sandoval sighed deeply, the conflict within him apparent. I understand your intentions, Armando. However, rules are in place for a reason, and exceptions cannot be made, even in cases with the best of intentions. I'm afraid we have to let you go. The finality in his voice was unmistakable, and Armando felt the impact of the decision hit him like a physical blow. The news was devastating. For Armando, losing his job was more than just a professional setback. It was a significant blow to his family's financial stability and his aspirations. Yet, despite the mix of anger, disappointment, and sadness that overwhelmed him, he remained resolute. I understand, he said, his voice heavy with resignation. Thank you for the opportunity to work here. As he left San Angel Hospital, Armando's mind was a tumultuous sea of thoughts and emotions. He knew that this setback was a temporary obstacle, not the end of his journey. His passion for helping others and his unwavering commitment to becoming a doctor remained strong. With Estella's steadfast support and a renewed sense of determination, Armando resolved to continue his studies and seek new opportunities. The road ahead would be challenging, but his dedication to his profession and his drive to make a meaningful difference in the world kept him moving forward. In the aftermath of his departure, Armando's actions exemplified the core values of compassion and dedication that had always guided him. His decision to help Rosalia, though costly, was a testament to his commitment to doing what was right, even in the face of severe personal and professional consequences. It served as a reminder that sometimes the cost of doing what is right is high, but the sense of fulfillment and integrity it brings is invaluable. Armando left the hospital with a heavy heart, his mind already on the next steps he needed to take. Despite the uncertainties and challenges that lay ahead, he found solace in the knowledge that he had acted with integrity and compassion. As he prepared to return to his studies and search for new opportunities, he carried with him a profound sense of purpose. At the end of his shift, just as he was beginning to unwind, Armando was abruptly summoned to Dr. Sandoval's office once again. The familiarity of the imposing office, reflecting Dr. Sandoval's authoritative presence, was now tinged with a sense of foreboding. Dr. Sandoval, seated behind his large desk, looked at Armando with a mixture of frustration and scrutiny. Armando Salazar, again, Doctor. Sandoval's voice was stern as he addressed him. Mariana reported today's incident. You admitted an elderly woman without any documentation and, even more concerning, without any means to pay. This is entirely unacceptable. His tone made it clear that the hospital's policies were being scrutinized with unforgiving rigidity. Armando, though anxious, maintained his composure. Dr. Sandoval, I understand the importance of hospital policies, but that woman needed urgent help. Every person deserves to be treated with dignity and compassion, regardless of their financial status. I'm even willing to cover the costs of her treatment myself, if necessary. Even if it means deducting from my salary, he offered, his voice resolute despite the mounting pressure. The conversation was a difficult one, a clash between the human values of compassion and the rigid structure of institutional policies. For Armando, it was a moment of intense reflection on the principles that guided his actions and the sacrifices required to uphold them. The outcome of the meeting would shape not only his immediate future but also the broader trajectory of his career and personal journey. However, Dr. Sandoval cut Armando off before he could finish. "Salazar, what you did goes against all our rules. This is not just about money, it's a matter of principle. You're fired. You can leave now, doctor." Sandoval's voice was icily final, leaving no room for discussion or appeal. The coldness of his words struck Armando deeply. He felt a surge of indignation and desolation. He had acted with the best intentions, guided by his commitment to helping those in need, but now he was facing the harsh reality of the consequences. With a heavy heart, he stood up, threw a final glance at Dr. Sandoval, and left the office in silence, his thoughts already drifting toward the woman he had helped. As Armando walked toward the break room, his mind was consumed with worries about his future. How would he support his family now? What about his daughter's needs? The weight of these responsibilities pressed down on him heavily. Despite these concerns, his focus remained on the well-being of Rosalia. When he reached the room where she was resting, he found her asleep, her breathing now more stable and steady. Gently, Armando woke her. "Sorry to wake you, but I need to talk to you," he said softly, trying not to startle her. Rosalia slowly opened her eyes, appearing slightly more robust than before. Armando's concern for her was evident. "How are you feeling?" he asked, his voice filled with genuine care. Rosalia looked at him with gratitude. "I feel better, thanks to you," she replied. "But I don't want to cause any more problems. Can I leave now?" Armando's resolve was firm. "I can't let you leave like this. Please come with me to my home. You need a place to rest and recover," he insisted. Rosalia hesitated, but the sincerity in Armando's voice and the compassion in his eyes convinced her. "All right, I accept your kindness," she said softly. "But didn't this cause you problems with your boss? Did he complain?" Armando paused for a moment, carefully choosing his words. "My boss is a difficult person. That's true," he began, trying to remain composed. "He was transferred here recently and has been very strict with the hospital's rules. But don't worry about that now. What's important is that you're okay." He avoided mentioning the full extent of his dismissal, focusing instead on her well-being. He gently helped Rosalia up and escorted her to the hospital exit. As they walked, Armando felt a complex mix of emotions: concern for his future, satisfaction for having done the right thing, and a certain relief at leaving behind a rigid work environment. His thoughts were preoccupied with how he would explain the situation to Estella and how they would manage the challenges ahead. The drive home was quiet, with Rosalia sitting beside him, gazing out the window at the passing cityscape. Armando broke the silence with a friendly tone. "I hope you like the food my wife prepares. She's cooking a special dinner with a lot of love. I've already told her about you. She's a very understanding and welcoming woman." Rosalia turned to him, her voice tinged with apprehension. "Won't your wife mind having an unexpected guest like me?" she asked softly. Armando smiled reassuringly. "Of course not. Estella has always been wonderful. She has a big heart, and she'll be glad to help. Don't worry about it." As the car continued its journey, Rosalia seemed lost in thought, her eyes following the city streets. Armando tried to keep the conversation light. "What's your name?" he asked. "My name is Luz," she replied quietly. "Dona Luz." Armando continued gently. "Do you have any family?" Dona Luz, a shadow of sadness crossed her face. "I'm not alone, but I'm a widow now. Life has led me down lonely paths," she said softly. Armando noticed the sadness in her voice and chose not to pry further. He understood that everyone carries their burdens and didn't want to intrude on her grief. When they arrived at his home, Estella greeted them with her usual warmth. Her smile was genuine, and she welcomed Dona Luz without any sign of surprise or discomfort, despite not knowing about Armando's job loss. Armando, for his part, remained calm and did not reveal his recent dismissal. Estella approached Dona Luz with natural kindness. "Welcome to our home," she said warmly. I'm Estella. Dona Luz, though a bit shy, was touched by the welcoming gesture. Thank you very much. My name is Luz, but everyone calls me Dona Luz. Estella had thoughtfully prepared a few clean clothes for Dona Luz. They're not new, but they're very clean, she explained, handing the clothes over. I hope they're comfortable for you. Dona Luz accepted them gratefully, visibly moved by such kindness. Estella had also arranged a space for Dona Luz in the living room, preparing the sofa with a clean, fragrant blanket. You can sleep here tonight. We want you to feel at home, Estella said, guiding her to the makeshift bed. Armando felt a deep sense of relief as he watched Estella's warm interaction with Dona Luz. The simple acts of kindness and hospitality were a balm to his troubled soul. He knew that despite the difficulties ahead, he had made the right choice, guided by compassion and a deep sense of duty to those in need. As he prepared for the evening, he hoped that the kindness of his family and the comforting presence of home would provide solace and strength to both Dona Luz and himself during this challenging time. Dona Luz hesitated, her pride and reluctance mingling with the discomfort of being a burden. I don't want to be a bother, she began, her voice tinged with uncertainty. But Armando was firm and reassuring. We insist, Dona Luz. I need to observe your health tonight. Tomorrow you can decide what to do. His earnestness and concern softened her resolve, and though she remained somewhat reluctant, she accepted the offer, touched by their kindness and sincerity. As Estella busied herself in the kitchen preparing dinner, Armando and Dona Luz settled into the living room. He made a point of ensuring she was comfortable and had everything she needed, subtly observing her condition. The warmth and care in their home starkly contrasted with the cold, impersonal environment of San Angel Hospital, where Armando had recently faced dismissal. Dona Luz, seated on the sofa, felt an unfamiliar but comforting sense of welcome and appreciation, a rare sentiment in recent years. Dinner was a simple, lovingly prepared meal, and the evening passed quietly. Armando and Estella made sure to tuck Victoria into bed, ensuring she was comfortable and ready for sleep. Afterward, they joined Dona Luz in the living room to check on her well-being. Dona Luz expressed her heartfelt gratitude, saying, "Thank you for everything you're doing for me," her voice filled with genuine emotion. Once Dona Luz seemed to drift off to sleep, Armando and Estella retreated to the kitchen for a private conversation. They spoke in hushed tones, careful not to disturb the serene ambience of the night. Estella, something happened at the hospital today, Armando began hesitantly, recounting in detail the events of the day from Dona Luz's arrival to his subsequent dismissal. Estella listened intently, her face reflecting a blend of concern and empathy. When Armando finished, Estella placed a comforting hand on his. "You did the right thing, Armando. Helping someone in need is always the right path. God will show us a way out," she said, her voice imbued with faith and hope. Meanwhile, from her spot on the sofa, Dona Luz lay awake, unable to rest. Her mind was troubled by the conversation she had overheard. The realization of the impact her situation had on this compassionate family weighed heavily on her. "The worst part," Armando continued, his voice tinged with anxiety, "is that Victoria's treatment costs are increasing. Estella, I don't know how we'll manage now." His words were filled with worry and uncertainty. Despite her anxiety, Estella tried to offer reassurance. "We will find a way to take care of our little one. God has never abandoned us," she said, her faith a beacon of hope amidst their difficulties. Dona Luz, listening to their concerns, felt an even greater burden of guilt. The knowledge that her predicament had led to such hardships for this generous family deepened her sorrow. "It's all my fault. If he hadn't helped me, he'd still have his job," she thought, her heart heavy with regret. The night was restless for Dona Luz, her mind swirling with the repercussions of Armando's actions and their impact on his family. As morning light began to filter through the window, she awoke feeling somewhat more stable but still weighed down by her thoughts. Armando was the first to check on her. Seeing her awake, he approached with genuine concern. "How are you feeling this morning?" he asked kindly. Donna Luz offered a grateful smile. "Better, thanks. I'm truly grateful for everything you and your wife have done for me." Her gratitude was heartfelt, though tinged with sadness over the burden she felt she had placed on them. The day unfolded with a subdued atmosphere. Armando and Estela went about their tasks with quiet dignity, their resolve to face adversity head-on evident in their every action. Donna Luz, eager to contribute and alleviate her sense of burden, took it upon herself to prepare breakfast as a small gesture of thanks. The meal was simple but served with warmth and affection, reflecting the care and consideration that had been extended to her. As they shared breakfast, Donna Luz felt a profound appreciation for the compassion and generosity she had received. Despite the challenges she had inadvertently created, the kindness of Armando and Estela offered her a glimmer of hope and the reassurance that she was valued and respected. The warmth of their home provided a stark contrast to the hardships she had faced, and for the first time in a long while, Donna Luz felt a semblance of peace and belonging. Armando and Estela understood that Donna Luz needed time and space to recuperate, so they carried on with their daily routines while ensuring she was well cared for. Estela went out to buy additional supplies, while Armando stayed home, assisting with tasks and engaging in light, uplifting conversation to keep Donna Luz's spirits high. As evening descended, the house was enveloped in a calm and gentle atmosphere. Armando, Estela, and Donna Luz gathered in the living room, sharing stories and enjoying each other's company. The hardships of the day seemed to fade into the background, replaced by the warmth of human connection and the comfort of a home that had embraced a stranger with unwavering kindness. Donna Luz felt a profound sense of peace that had eluded her for many years. The generosity of Armando and Estela, despite their challenges, had touched her deeply. She recognized the weight of their struggles but felt immensely grateful for their willingness to help her in her time of need. The following morning, Donna Luz knew she had to make a decision. She wanted to contribute something, however small, as a token of her gratitude. After a heartfelt conversation with Armando and Estela, she handed them a small bag containing a modest sum of money she had saved. "I can't accept this hospitality without giving something in return," she said with a firm resolve. Armando and Estela initially hesitated to accept, but Donna Luz was insistent. "It's not much, but it's a way for me to show my appreciation," she said, her voice filled with earnestness. Her gesture was more than just about the money, it was about expressing her deep appreciation for the kindness and support she had received. Moved by the sincerity of her offer, Armando and Estela accepted the money with gratitude, promising to use it for a good cause. "We'll find a way to use it to help others in need," Estela said, her smile warm and genuine. In the days that followed, Donna Luz's health and spirits gradually improved, thanks in large part to the emotional support she received from Armando and Estela. She eventually sought assistance from local organizations to secure a stable living situation, feeling hopeful about her future. As Donna Luz prepared to leave, Armando and Estela bid her a heartfelt farewell. "Remember, you're always welcome here," Estela said, hugging her tightly. "Thank you for everything," Donna Luz replied, her eyes moist with gratitude. Armando and Estela watched as Donna Luz departed, hopeful that she would find a brighter path ahead. Despite the trials they had endured, the experience reaffirmed their belief in the power of kindness and the profound impact of extending a helping hand to those in need. It was immediately clear that Victoria, quietly playing in a corner of the room, was burning with fever. Estela's face clouded with worry as she said urgently, "Armando, we have to take her to the hospital right away. She's very hot." Without hesitation, they gathered their daughter and hurried to the children's hospital where Victoria had always been treated. Upon arrival, the medical team swiftly assessed Victoria's condition. Recognizing the severity, they rushed her to the emergency room, leaving Armando and Estela in the sterile, impersonal hospital hallway, consumed by fear and anxiety. The hallway stretched endlessly before them, its silence only amplifying their torment. Time seemed to crawl, every second felt like an hour as they waited for news. After what felt like an eternity, a doctor emerged with a grave expression. "Your daughter's condition has worsened significantly," he said. "We need to admit her for close monitoring and intensive treatment." The words were like a punch to the gut. Armando, struggling to keep his composure, asked, "But she'll be okay, right?" The doctor reassured him. "We'll do everything we can. She's in good hands, but we need to act fast." As the doctor and Estella went to Vittoria's side, Armando slumped into one of the waiting area chairs, his mind racing. His daughter's health was his primary concern, but the weight of financial strain pressed heavily on him. How are we going to pay for this? Our insurance doesn't cover this, he thought, feeling the crushing burden of uncertainty. He replayed the recent events in his mind, his job loss, and the upcoming interview at San Angel Hospital. "I need this job now more than ever," he murmured, feeling the walls of desperation close in. Armando closed his eyes, murmuring a silent prayer for strength and guidance as he faced the daunting challenges ahead. Later that night, as Estella prepared to stay at the hospital, she briefly spoke with Armando. "I'm going home to get ready for the interview tomorrow," she said, her voice tinged with concern. "Stay with Vittoria. I'll be back as soon as I can." Despite her worries, Estella understood the importance of the interview. "Go, Armando. We need this. I'll be here with her." "Good luck," she said, her eyes filled with a blend of hope and anxiety. Unable to sleep, Armando wrestled with his thoughts. His mind was torn between his daughter's precarious health and the crucial interview that could turn their fortunes around. At dawn, he rose early, showered, and dressed in his best clothes, the ones he reserved for important occasions. As he gazed at his reflection in the mirror, he tried to summon every ounce of confidence he could muster. The image of Vittoria in the hospital remained vivid in his mind. "I have to get this job," he told himself firmly, driven by a sense of duty to his family. With renewed determination, he left the house and headed towards San Angel Hospital. On the way, he mentally rehearsed answers to potential interview questions, knowing how critical this opportunity was. "I must show them that I'm the right candidate for the job, despite everything that's happened," he murmured, focusing all his energy on making a strong impression. Armando's astonishment was palpable as he took in the unexpected revelation. The realization that Dona Luz Hernandez, whom he had helped in her time of need, was now the owner of San Angel Hospital, was both surreal and overwhelming. He tried to steady himself, struggling to reconcile the woman he had known in her vulnerable state with the powerful figure before him. Dr. Lopez, observing Armando's reaction, offered a reassuring smile. "Yes, Mr. Salazar, Dona Luz acquired the hospital recently. She is now overseeing all operations and making significant changes to improve our practices." Armando, still in shock, managed to compose himself enough to respond. "I didn't know. I never imagined," he paused, his voice faltering. "Dona Luz, I didn't expect to see you here. I didn't know about your connection to the hospital." Dona Luz, her demeanor both commanding and warm, nodded understandingly. "I understand your surprise, Armando. When I was at your home, I was overwhelmed by the kindness you and Estella showed me. I knew I had to do something to repay it. When I acquired the hospital, I made it a priority to understand the challenges and the people involved." Armando was taken aback by her words. "I appreciate that, but what does this mean for me?" Dona Luz smiled gently. "After hearing about the circumstances of your dismissal, I wanted to ensure that you were given a fair chance. We've reviewed your case and the situation at hand. I'm here today to offer you a position with the new team. We believe that your dedication and compassion are exactly what we need." The weight of her words slowly began to lift from Armando's shoulders. The offer was both unexpected and immensely relieving. He glanced around the room at the new management team, who were now regarding him with a renewed sense of respect and curiosity. "Doctor," Lopez added, "we've made changes in the hospital's administration to create a more supportive and compassionate environment. Your experience and integrity were noted, and we are eager to have you back with us." Armando, overwhelmed by a mix of relief and gratitude, took a deep breath. "Thank you, Dona Luz. I didn't know how to face this situation, but your offer means more than I can express." Dona Luz nodded, her eyes reflecting a deep understanding. "We all go through tough times, Armando. What matters is how we overcome them and support each other along the way. I'm glad we could find a way to work together again." With the offer on the table, the tension in Armando's chest began to ease. He realized that this opportunity not only restored his professional path, but also brought a sense of closure to the turbulent period he had endured. The new chapter at San Angel Hospital now seemed full of promise and hope, shaped by the compassion and new leadership that Dona Luz represented. As the meeting concluded, Armando expressed his gratitude to everyone present. He walked out of the room with a newfound sense of purpose, eager to reconnect with his work at San Angel Hospital and grateful for the second chance afforded by the very person he had once helped in a time of need. Returning to the hospital later that evening, Armando found Estella waiting anxiously. He shared the news with her, her face lighting up with relief and joy. Together, they went back to Vittoria's side, reassured by the new hope for their future and the support they had received from an unexpected ally. The room was silent as Dona Luz shared her story, each word resonating deeply with those present. Armando's shock transformed into a profound sense of understanding. He listened intently, his previous confusion melting away as the pieces of the story fell into place. Dona Luz continued, her voice steady but imbued with emotion. "After that experience, I knew I needed to take immediate action. I couldn't allow my vision of the hospital to be overshadowed by those who had lost sight of its core values. I decided to personally oversee the hospital's operations again to ensure that every patient received the respect and care they deserve." She looked at Armando, her eyes reflecting gratitude and sincerity. "You might wonder why I chose to make these changes so publicly. It's because I wanted to show that even those who are at the helm of a great institution are fallible, but we can always correct our course. Your kindness that day was a turning point for me, Armando. It reaffirmed my commitment to the principles I once held dear." The members of the new management team nodded in agreement, their respect for Dona Luz evident in their expressions. They had been part of the transition to a more compassionate and patient-centered approach, and hearing her story made their mission all the more meaningful. Armando, still absorbing the gravity of the situation, finally spoke. "I never imagined that the woman I helped that day was the owner of the hospital. I just acted on instinct and compassion, not knowing the full context." Dona Luz smiled warmly. "And that's exactly what made your actions so significant. You showed me that the values I championed could be lived out by anyone, regardless of their position or background. It's a reminder that true compassion knows no boundaries." "Doctor," Lopez added, "the changes we've implemented since Dona Luz's return are aimed at ensuring every patient receives the highest standard of care. We're committed to making San Angel Hospital a place where empathy and respect are the norm." Armando felt a weight lift from his shoulders. The news of the job offer was no longer just about career recovery. It was now intertwined with a renewed sense of purpose and alignment with the values he had always believed in. Dona Luz extended her hand towards Armando. "I hope you'll join us in this renewed vision for the hospital. Your dedication and empathy are exactly what we need." Armando shook her hand firmly, his heart full of renewed hope. "Thank you, Dona Luz. I would be honored to be a part of this new chapter." As Armando left the meeting room, he felt a deep sense of relief and renewed purpose. The hospital's new direction resonated with his values, and he was eager to contribute to a place where compassion and respect were at the forefront of patient care. Returning to the hospital where his daughter was being treated, Armando found Estela waiting anxiously. With a mixture of joy and relief, he shared the news of the job offer and the changes at San Angel. Together, they felt a renewed sense of hope for the future, both professionally and personally. As they rejoined Vittoria's side, the atmosphere in the hospital seemed brighter, filled with the promise of a more compassionate and supportive environment. Armando, still grappling with the whirlwind of revelations and emotions, listened intently as Dona Luz explained her decisions and plans. The weight of her words was profound, and he felt a surge of gratitude and a sense of purpose that had been missing for some time. When Dona Luz finished speaking, a moment of silence fell over the room. Armando's mind raced as he considered the enormity of the offer. The opportunity to help restore San Angel Hospital to its former glory was both thrilling and daunting. He thought about the challenges he had faced, the struggles with his daughter's health, and now this unexpected turn of events that seemed to intertwine his future with the hospital's revival. After taking a deep breath to gather his thoughts, Armando looked directly at Dona Luz. His voice was steady, though his emotions were barely contained. "Dona Luz, I am deeply honored by your offer and touched by your faith in me. The chance to help rebuild the hospital and to eventually lead it is a tremendous responsibility, but one that I would be proud to accept." He glanced at Dr. Lopez and the rest of the team, acknowledging their presence and the supportive environment they represented. "I appreciate the changes you've made and the commitment to upholding the values of compassion and respect. It's inspiring to see that the spirit of the hospital is being restored." Dona Luz's eyes brightened with approval. "Thank you, Armando. Your dedication and integrity are exactly what we need. We're excited to have you join our team and help us shape the future of San Angel Hospital." Armando nodded, feeling a renewed sense of purpose. "I will do my utmost to honor the trust you've placed in me and to contribute to the hospital's mission. I'm ready to start this new chapter." As the meeting concluded, Armando and Dona Luz shared a handshake that symbolized the beginning of a new partnership. Armando felt a mixture of relief and anticipation as he prepared to return to the hospital to be with Vittoria and Estela. With the promise of a new opportunity ahead and the possibility of contributing to a meaningful cause, Armando left the meeting with a heart full of hope. The challenges of the past hours had not disappeared, but now there was a tangible path forward, one that aligned with his values and aspirations. Returning to the hospital's ward where Vittoria was being treated, Armando found Estela by her side. His face carried a look of resolve and a glimmer of optimism. As he shared the news of the job offer and the changes at San Angel, Estela's expression shifted from worry to cautious hope. "That's incredible," Armando Estela said, her voice filled with relief and support. "I'm so glad things are starting to turn around. It feels like a weight has been lifted." Together, they focused on Vittoria, who was now stable and receiving the care she needed. Armando's new role at San Angel Hospital seemed to offer a beacon of hope, not just for his career, but for his family's future. As he sat beside Estela and Vittoria, he felt a renewed sense of determination and a deep appreciation for the unexpected twists that had brought him to this pivotal moment. Armando, still reeling from the magnitude of the recent events, felt as if he were living in a dream. The reality of the situation was overwhelming, and his voice trembled with emotion as he confirmed his acceptance of the job offer. "This is more than a dream come true," he said, his voice quivering with both disbelief and joy. His eyes welled up with tears, reflecting the profound gratitude he felt. Dona Luz, observing Armando's emotional response, smiled warmly. "I'm very happy, Armando. I feel a genuine sense of relief knowing that San Angel is now in the hands of people who truly care," she said, her voice imbued with compassion and sincerity. Her gesture of kindness was far from over. With a reassuring smile, she pulled out a check from her purse and handed it to him. "This is to cover Victoria's full treatment at the best pediatric hospital," she explained. "I want to make sure she receives the best care possible and finds a cure as soon as possible." As Armando held the check, his emotions surged uncontrollably. Tears streamed down his face as he looked at Dona Luz in astonishment. I don't know what to say," he stammered, his voice choked with emotion. "This is more than I could have ever asked for." The room was filled with a collective sense of awe and compassion as Armando's words of gratitude echoed. Dr. Lopez, standing by with a kind smile, nodded in approval of Dona Luz's generous act. "Dona Luz, Dr. Lopez," Armando said earnestly, "I promise to honor this trust and give everything I have to live up to this opportunity. I am deeply grateful for what you've done for my daughter." Leaving the meeting room, Armando was still in shock. His hands shook and his mind raced with the incredible turn of events. He immediately called Estela, eager to share the news. As soon as Estela answered, Armando's excitement and disbelief poured out. "Estela, you won't believe what has happened," he said, his voice trembling with emotion. On the other end of the line, Estela listened intently, her eyes welling up with tears. "Armando, what happened? Are you okay?" she asked, her voice tinged with concern. Armando, struggling to control his breathing, recounted everything from the job offer to the generous check for Victoria's treatment. "Estela, our lives are going to change. Dona Luz has covered Victoria's treatment, and I'm going to be the head nurse with the chance to eventually lead the hospital." Estela's voice broke with relief and joy. "This is incredible, Armando. It's like a miracle. How is this even possible?" "I don't know," Estela, Armando replied, still overwhelmed. "It feels like a dream, a miraculous act of kindness that has turned our lives around." In the days that followed, Armando began his new role at San Angel Hospital. The changes were evident and profound. The atmosphere of the hospital had transformed, infused with a renewed spirit of compassion and optimism. Inspired by this new direction, Armando proposed an idea to Dona Luz. "Dona Luz, I have a suggestion. How about we open a separate wing of the hospital dedicated to caring for those in need? We could offer high-quality treatment for free or at a very reduced cost." Dona Luz listened intently, her eyes lighting up with approval. "Armando, that's a wonderful idea," she responded enthusiastically. "Let's make it happen. We'll allocate the necessary budget to establish a community hospital near San Angel. It will be a place where those in need can receive exceptional care without financial worry." The decision was met with enthusiasm and marked a significant step in the hospital's renewed commitment to social responsibility. The community hospital project swiftly took shape, with Armando collaborating closely with Dona Luz and Dr. Lopez to bring the vision to life. The dream of providing accessible and high-quality healthcare was becoming a reality, and Armando felt a deep sense of purpose and gratitude. This new chapter, filled with promise and opportunity, marked the beginning of a transformative journey for both San Angel Hospital and the community it would serve. On the day of the grand inauguration of Victoria Hospital, named in honor of Armando's beloved daughter, the air was charged with palpable excitement and anticipation. The sky was a brilliant expanse of blue, and a gentle breeze carried Dona Luz Hernandez's words, touching everyone present with its tender grace. Standing at the podium, Dona Luz's expression radiated pride and fulfillment. "Dear friends and colleagues," she began, her voice resonating with unwavering conviction, "today is not merely the inauguration of a hospital. It is a celebration of a principle that should guide us all, helping others without regard for who they are." Her words echoed through the space, imbuing the occasion with a profound sense of purpose. This hospital is the culmination of a simple act of kindness, a genuine gesture of care towards a stranger. It transformed lives and reignited the flame of hope and humanity within our hearts. May Victoria Hospital stand as a beacon of compassion, where everyone who walks through its doors experiences the healing power that comes not just from medicine, but from love and solidarity. Armando and Estella, standing side by side, beheld the realization of a dream sparked by a single act of kindness. Victoria Hospital was now a symbol of love, care, and human connection, a legacy that would forever hold a special place in their hearts. It was a moment filled with deep meaning, a poignant reminder of the transformative power of compassion and the significant impact one selfless act can have. As we wrap up this inspiring journey of transformation and compassion, we hope you found valuable insights and motivation in the story of Victoria Hospital. From the profound impact of a single act of kindness to the remarkable changes brought about by genuine care and dedication, there's much to reflect on. What have you learned from this story? How do you plan to apply these lessons in your own life? We'd love to hear your thoughts and experiences. Please share one key takeaway or a practice you'll implement as a result of this story in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to leave your comments, like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel for more inspiring content. Your support helps us continue to bring these impactful stories to life. Thank you for watching, and we look forward to seeing you in the next video.